The U.S. State Department has imposed sanctions on Chinese officials. This in the wake of what it calls a continuing political crackdown in Hong Kong. In 2020, massive anti-government protests broke out in Hong Kong. In response, the city's government imposed a sweeping national security law, one that the U.S. says represses pro-democracy activists. In all, 6 officials were sanctioned. The penalties include freezing of assets in the United States and a block on the use of the U.S. banking system. Joining us now for analysis is Andrew Latham, Professor of International Relations. Thank you for joining us. First, why are these sanctions being imposed right now?
Well, I think it's part of a broader campaign on the part of the Trump administration. It's not just about tariffs. It's about blunting and blocking and balancing China's influence in the world. And one of the ways you do this is to focus on Hong Kong, focus on dissidents, focus on the Uyghur people, and focus on Taiwan. It's all of a piece, and it's all really, at the end of the day, about balancing China's effort to dominate the Indo-Pacific region.
Now, issues of freedom and democracy are not new in China. Prominent businessman and pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai is facing life imprisonment at the hands of the Hong Kong authorities. He's been in jail already for 5 years. Could these sanctions be a way to help to free him?
Well, my instinct is to say no, although President Trump, as everybody has been saying, is quite transactional, and maybe there's a deal to be done there. But Jimmy Lai represents a real threat to the power and authority of the Chinese Communist Party. I cannot envision a set of circumstances under which he would be set free.
Do you think this is the beginning of a sustained effort by the U.S. to hold authorities accountable for restricting freedoms of people in Hong Kong and just pursuing that in general overseas?
Well, I think the advocacy for freedom and democracy, that's subordinate to a bigger goal, which is to, as I said, balance China. The Trump administration very much wants out of Europe at the moment. It very much wants out of the Middle East. Some exceptions there with respect to Israel. Why? Because it wants to focus on hemispheric security. So that's all the talk about Greenland and Panama and Canada. But it really wants to focus on balancing China in the Indo-Pacific. And the United States has limited resources. It has to make hard decisions about where to allocate those resources. And this administration, I think, to be charitable to them, has decided that the Indo-Pacific is where those resources really need to be allocated. And this has less to do with democracy and freedom and more to do with balancing China.
Well, these sanctions do come as China launches military drills as a, quote, serious warning to independence separatist forces in Taiwan. Taiwan, of course, is a close ally of the United States. Are we starting to see tensions rise between the two countries?
We have been for a long time now, ever since Xi Jinping came to power. His rule is based increasingly on a nationalist ideology, and Chinese nationalism makes the claim, which is ahistorical and wrong, but makes the claim that Taiwan has always been part of China and it needs to be returned to the fold. And so Xi Jinping is increasingly posturing around that set of themes. They won't be ready to invade until 2027. That's the conventional wisdom, at least in the Western world. But blockading and quarantining the island, that's already sort of what's going on. And the United States has been pushing back, as have American friends and allies and partners in the region, Australia, for example, even India under the Quad, sort of pushing back against this idea. But it's a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, China really needs to reincorporate Taiwan into the People's Republic of China. And on the other hand, the Taiwanese and Americans, the American government, this administration, will not tolerate that. So it remains to be seen how that's going to shake out.
Well, that's certainly something to watch. Thank you so much, Professor Latham.
You're welcome.